Hey there, Cedar Valley. Welcome to the newest edition of the Arts Overlook. I'm your host, Ian Goldsmith. Each episode, we take a look at different arts and entertainment stories circulating around the Cedar Valley. This edition, we took it to 11 and interviewed two local bands that performed at the recent music festival, Cornstalk. We will take a look at the fast-approaching event, the Collegeville Arts Festival, and finally, we will preview the newest show at the Oster Regent Theater, Oklahoma. Now sit back and enjoy the Arts Overlook.
Art is thriving in the Cedar Valley. It's everywhere. But if you don't know where to look, you could miss it. This is your local arts perspective. This is the Arts Overlook.
The Cedar Valley is truly a hotspot for local music talent. And with summer coming upon us, we're keeping an eye on area music festivals. Arts Overlook attended our first music festival of the season, Cornstalk, held at Spicoli's Bar and Grill. At this festival, our ears feasted on a smorgasbord of music, ranging from hip-hop to techno to country to rock and roll. We caught up with a band that is truly bringing their own unique sound to the stage, a genre self-described as punkgrass, a mixture of rock, country, punk, and bluegrass. I present to you Whiskey and Woe.
First song is called Let's Dance.
That is Whiskey and Woe, a local band whose music stays true to its outlaw nature. And when playing to crowds, they intend to get people dancing, along with telling a beautiful narrative with their heartfelt songs. This band would have never happened if it wasn't from an unfortunate car accident. But you know what they say, when one door closes, another one opens. Now let's take a look at Whiskey and Woe.
Singer, guitar player was in the car with him, and they hit a tree. And Jay broke his neck. So Jay spent months and months and months unable to do anything at all except sit with this neck brace on, you know. And so he decided he'd pick up guitar. I think he actually already owned one and was trying to learn anyways, but at this point he had nothing else to do. So he'd sit with this thing on and, you know, he'd play and he'd look at his chords like this, you know, and he picked it up really fast because he basically had nothing else to do. And I used to just go over there and jam with him for fun and hang out, you know. Just was playing and playing and playing and got really good. And I was joking around with him one day because he played a lot of country music. I said, well, we should just start an outlaw country band. And he said, yeah, we could do that. And I think Mike Howe, our washboard player, was there at the time, and he wanted to get in on it. And said, sure, well, I know a drummer from playing in lots of other bands. He was friends with all, you know, Jay and Mike too. And so we called Willie up and he said he wanted to do it. So then we were looking, you know, for, we knew a couple people that could sing. You know, it just kind of all came together from there, just because Jay had nothing else to do but sit around and play his guitar all the time.
We all decided, let's start an outlaw country band. And at first we were like, yeah, maybe, whatever. And once we got going with it, and once we got into certain songs that we decided to play, it was a lot of fun. And we just kept going with it, and here we are, like a year later now.
Well, Whiskey and Woe got started basically as a bunch of friends that loved to play hard rock music, but also had a love for country, and more of the outlaw country aspects like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, George Jones, Willie Nelson. And just the love for that type of music is basically what got Whiskey and Woe going. And also, like, there's, you know, Hank Williams, Hank Williams Jr., you know, those artists that had this this kind of rebel mentality to it. And coming from, like, everyone coming from more of a metal background, a hard rock background, it just seemed to be apt to apply to outlaw country.
We just all have the roots of that. Our parents, Jason's parents, play in a bluegrass band, and I grew up listening to that, so that's kind of what we decided to do. Metal wasn't paying the bills anymore.
Whiskey and Woe, it's basically, what we try to do is bring in like an eclectic form of music, a lot of bluegrass, outlaw, even some modern country. We've also thrown in some punk music. We just try and take songs that we think we can create our own sound with, but still having, you know, everyone still knows what the music is. It's just with our sound, which is different style than, you know, I can't even really put a genre to what we do besides outlaw bluegrass or something, you know.
We have kind of this bluegrassy sound, except we have a drummer, which isn't real typical in bluegrass. We also have, you know, like some folk music influences, and then, you know, we're all metalheads and punk rockers too. So, you know, we do Cowboys from Hell by Pantera, and we do a bunch of Rancid tunes and Bad Religion. So we do a lot of different stuff. And then we even do, like, we do some Pearl Jam and stuff like that. Anything we do, though, we folk it up. We add the, you know, folk bluegrass element to it, so it sounds like a Whiskey and Woe tune.
That we have that's unique is the ability to kind of cycle in different instruments into one set, to one show. And then we tend to, you know, I play the upright bass, and I play in a very like classical country / bluegrass style. And we have, you know, our washboard player who also does backup. And that's one thing that a lot of bands don't have, is that custom percussion. So I think that would make us pretty unique in that area.
Jason, the mandolin player, he's, like I said, he's been playing for a long, long time, and
Shreds it. He's the metal mandolin player. It's like a never-ending solo.
he's really into the music scene more than anyone else I know. The thing is, he's also right now currently getting his PhD in sociology. So I mean, he's got a lot on his plate, but he still finds time to jam with us. And
Jay just kind of writes like a rhythm guitar part, and we all just follow along. And Jason D, stand-up bass player. What else can you say about that? And
that was kind of a different situation there. Our drummer Will had met him years ago while he was in a different band, and it just so happened at the time we were looking for a bass player, and they got to talking one night, and so within a week or so, Jason came over to try out with me at my house just to see, you know, how well he would do and how well, you know, he would mesh in with what we were doing, and he picked right up on it. And next thing you know, it was 3 months later, he was buying an upright bass. You know, I was like, oh, all right, cool, we got a good bass player here.
And Mike, the washboard player, just shreds the washboard, and I just play the drums and try to keep up.
Willie D. Oh, Will. He's, you know, I've known Will since probably 3rd or 4th grade. And, you know, ever since I've known him, he's been into the music, and, you know, he's been in and out of a lot of bands. Most of them are like the metal thrash bands and stuff like that. And with Will and his experience, he's able to bring the drums in and without a hitch, and it's great. Plus, he's another backbone for me because we're so close and friends, and he's so seasoned, if you will, in the music scene and with bands and stuff. So he helps out a lot. That's Dutch. That is Jason, our mandolin player's uncle. He can play just about anything. He's really good with the piano, really good with the harps. He's got the maracas and stuff, and he brings an extra flavor, if you will, to the band. Plus, you know, we're all young lads, so we had to get an old guy up there just to even it out a little bit. But he does well, and you know, a lot of times he gets everyone dancing too, you know, because he's got some of the simpler instruments to play, and he doesn't necessarily need to be plugged in all the time. So he'll get up and dance with the girls and whoever else, and just keep going. You know, it makes it a lot better when you get the crowd going and involved with everything you're doing. It really makes them focus on you. So it's pretty cool.
But we're trying to work our way up and get into the bigger venues around Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, like all our surrounding states, Missouri and Illinois and Nebraska. So we want to move out, kind of branch out into that stuff. But you know, it's all taking time.
I would say you're in for a treat. You're in for music that if you're not a bluegrass or country fan, you're going to come away a fan. You're going to become a fan of Whiskey and Woe because we bring a lot to you. We're going to play a song that or a way that you've never heard. You know, you'll want to hear Pink Floyd, and all of a sudden you'll hear it bluegrass style. And then we'll mix in our own originals that will have something important to say and something that they can relate to. So a lot of people that have never seen us walk away fans, and a lot of times they're fans of different genres of music.
Yeah, we like to call it punk grass. So There's a lot of other bands that are kind of doing it these days, and it seems to be up and coming type of music, and we just like to do it. It's fun.
Let's hear it for goalies.
Whiskey and Woe wasn't the only band that night to rock Spicoli's. While attending Cornstalk, a familiar metal rock sound caught our ears. As we ventured outside to see what band was thrashing guitars, we couldn't believe how such a big sound could come from such small fingers. I present to you Minitallica.
I'm 11 years old. I am 11. I'm 10.
I am 12. Well, almost 12, pretty much.
Their name is Minitallica. And while they may be young, we found out firsthand that they sure know how to rock. You might be wondering, how did a group of people this young become a band?
I bought Jeffrey his first drum set when he was a year old. A year later for Christmas, I got him and AJ their first guitars. And they really just still, they would hook it up. Jeffrey would get on his drum set a lot of times and just bang on it. And
My first drum set was pretty small, but I had to go like this.
AJ would just, bang on his guitar.
I got my first guitar when I was 2, but I really started playing about 4 to 5 years ago.
And then Jeffrey, when he was 3, started taking drum lessons, and I started teaching AJ kind of things here and there. The first stuff they really learned was the Black Sabbath stuff.
First it started with me and my cousin me and him just learned Iron Man, I don't know, when we were about 3 or 4.
I think they played a gig all by themselves for Spicoli's or something like that. Just the two of them doing you could recognize the tunes because it was just the guitar and the drums. There were no vocals or anything like that. But anyways, I was booking a show for Whiskey and Woe at this new venue in Waterloo, and Susie Carnes showed up.
My mom was booking a show for my dad's band, and I was with my mom, and then Jason saw my long hair and he asked if I played an instrument.
He said nobody sings with my husband sometimes, and he invited him to come over and practice with the guys. He told me about Minitallica, that he was trying to get it started.
He asked him if he wanted to be in our band, and he said sure, so that's how we got him. We played a few shows after that.
That next, maybe February or so, he started teaching Caden the guitar, and found out he was really good at that too.
Then they went without a bass player for a while. They had a kid that would come and do a couple of shows, like 1 or 2 songs here and there. But then I was looking online on Facebook one day, just scrolling through things, and I seen a video of this kid playing at Jameson's in Waterloo with his dad, and he was playing bass.
I was playing at acoustic guitar night, which is really fun. It's where we sit in a big circle and everyone plays a song that they want to do, and I play with my dad.
I was like, I'd left a message, why is this bass player not playing in Minitallica? Because he was good, and I could tell.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And I thought I was actually playing guitar, but then my dad told me they want you for bass, and I said, oh, okay.
And with that, the Minitallica of today was formed. From what we could tell at Cornstalk, these young rockers do have talent. But as with anything, talent means nothing without hard work.
We practice probably twice, 3 times maybe a week.
Now that it's summer, we'll probably have a lot more practice time. And we practice for like 5 hours.
When Jason would teach them songs, he would water it down a little bit, not all of the songs, but on a couple of them. And now they're learning exactly everything the way it's supposed to be played. And I just want to show that they're not just cute kids that learned a little guitar, because they're really talented musicians.
Some practices we get into fights and we don't remember stuff.
They get hard on themselves sometimes. They'll be really upset if they make a mistake. But
you're gonna have fights. It's not gonna be all happy, jolly people.
We get in fights a lot, and we forget stuff, and then we get mad at each other.
And adult bands, they have enough issues, you know, trying to come together. But kids, you know, kids are, well, they're kids, and you can tell that at practices.
But a lot of times we just play through it, we're good, and then we go on to the next song.
Yeah, I think we fight a lot, but it's worth it.
All that practice pays off for the band as they get to take their talents to the stage.
It's really fun to play shows.
When I book shows, I mean, it depends on the venue. I mean, if they've heard of them before, it's a lot easier for me. It's actually not very hard at all if they've already heard of them, because once people hear them, they usually want them to play at their venue. They play outside shows as much as possible. I try not to put them in a lot of bars, you know, they're kids, but there's some that is perfectly fine and the show makes sense, so I'll put them on it. Spicoli's is where they got their start, so we always go back to play Spicoli's. Other towns, they've played in Independence quite a bit. They played in Old Wine.
I think the certain show that we played in Old Wine, it was fun, and all the kids that were our age sat up front. They had their own VIP. They had their own VIP table, and we locked Caden in the trailer for all of our equipment.
When we opened for Hairball, we were in the middle of playing a song, and Jeffrey, the drummer, he lost a tooth.
No way.
Yeah, we were just playing, and he stopped, and we all looked back at him, and we were like, what happened? And he was like, my tooth came out.
And they opened for Saliva. That was awesome.
There was a show on Saliva, like we played with Saliva at the Marion Airport, and there was like over 3,000 people there.
But I'd really like to get them breaking out into other states and everything by next summer.
It's like a two-way street, I guess. I'm super, super proud of the boys, but they get way better gigs than we do. And way better reaction from the crowd most of the time. So sometimes there's a little jealousy that goes into it. Not really, but you know, it is interesting to see them do really well, really fast.
My teachers, my parents, my friends and all that, they think that I'm inspiring because I play music, and they never actually tried.
A lot of them think it's pretty cool because I've been on the radio a lot, and like I'd go to school and they'd be like, hey dude, I saw you on the radio.
My best friend, once I told him that, he didn't believe me until I showed him a video on YouTube of us, and he was just amazed.
Somebody just said this the other day, they called me Minitallica, and I thought that was hilarious. And I kind of feel like with all the boys, you know, I spend a lot of time with them, so it's not just Caden that I'm looking out for. The girls, it worries me, I'm not gonna lie. Already, I mean, 10 and 11 years old, and I've already noticed a big difference from last summer with the little girls. So I think that's gonna be my challenge as the mom of a rock star.
All in all, they never forget that it's all about the love for music.
One of the best compliments I might have ever gotten was somebody came over to me once and said that they'd been listening, kind of having a conversation. It was out in my Waterloo days, and they'd been having a conversation with people, whatever, not really exactly paying attention to the band that was on stage, but hearing it in the background and being impressed by it, and then all of a sudden realizing that they were kids. And they came over to me and said, I didn't even realize that they were kids. I heard the music, and I thought it was a good band, and then I paid closer attention. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are children. And they just thought that they were adults.
Jeffrey, the drummer, he's like chin down to hear good.
And that's the point I try to get across to people, that they're just going to be blown away by them. And their stage presence is awesome. And I don't know what it would take to make Caden really nervous, because he doesn't really know how to be nervous. He loves to be on stage.
I like it because when I go to shows, I just get a good feeling when I go up there and a bunch of people are cheering for me. It's really fun.
In all seriousness, I'm super proud of them. I couldn't imagine it going any better, but it just seems like they just keep going and going and going, and new things come up, and so good for them. I hope that they, no matter what they do with their music, if they do something for a livelihood with their music, or if it's just a hobby their whole life, I think it's good for them. It's a good outlet.
Well, it's really fun, and when I'm mad, I just go play my guitar and it calms me down, and It's just like the best part of my life, really.
I enjoy music because it just lets me you're all sad and mopey, and it just lets you be yourself and stuff.
Right now I know they have 16 shows booked out into the future through January 1st. I think 13 of those are before Labor Day weekend.
If you want to see this amazing band of kids live, learn more about their upcoming shows or about booking the band by contacting Susie Carnes. You can reach her at susie.carnes@yahoo.com. Don't miss the future of rock and roll.
We are Minitallica! Thank you!
Well, that just goes to show that rock and roll is a language that people of any age can understand. Next up on Arts Overlook, I sat down at the Oster Regent Theater with some cast and crew of the upcoming production of the classic musical Oklahoma.
This is the very first time we've done Oklahoma. I've never been in it before, but the play reading committee wanted to get a really high energy, great musical, traditional show that our audience would appreciate, and that's when we came up with Oklahoma.
It's had a number of revivals over the years. I mean, it still is a very popular show. And we're always looking for a show that's going to draw people to the theater.
I think it's one of Leon, the director's, favorite shows to do. It's very popular around here.
A lot of people have said, since we've chosen it for our season, things like, oh, my high school did that and I want to see it, or I played such and such and I want to see it.
This production of Oklahoma has everything. It has great music, great instrumental music in the pit with Leonard Upham is our maestro, and great vocal music with our the lead characters, and it's got dance, and it's got guns, and it's got cowboy boots, and it's got petticoats, and love, and fights, and it's got everything.
It's a love story, and in fact there are a number of romances in the story. The main one being the cowboy Curly and Lori, and their kind of conflict with each other.
Many wonderful characters in this show. The peddler, Ado Annie, they're just Will, Curly, Laura.
My character traditionally is a younger girl, but this Ado Annie has been around the block 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 or 7 times. She kind of love the one you're with is kind of her mantra.
It's quite a complex story, really, in the long run. It centers around a social occasion between in the community, which is made up of both farmers and cowboys. And of course there's a conflict. We have come up with an absolutely stellar cast.
The voices are fantastic, and so it's great to be around really talented artists, and I'm hoping a little of it'll kind of rub off on me.
I'm very excited for people to hear these singers and dancers.
I think it'll be great. I mean, I think everybody's going to love it. Really, the whole family could come, and songs that are familiar and songs that aren't.
The music is wonderful stuff. It is well known. Many of the songs are well known, like People Will Say We're in Love, Surrey with a Fringe on Top, and of course Oklahoma, the title song.
We rehearse a lot, and usually from 7 to 10, almost every night, and sometimes we have the weekends off.
And we rehearse for 3 hours at a time. So, and sometimes we can rehearse something in our rehearsal hall upstairs while we're on stage, but we just have to keep pushing along. We've got a really fine staff supporting the show.
It's mostly done on volunteer help. I mean, we volunteer a lot of time here, and it's because we love to be here and we love the theater and we want it to go on.
Leon is a very visual director and loves a beautiful stage tableau. So the stage picture and the balance is a really wonderful puzzle that she puts together and places us at different places on stage.
We have a set building crew, and when they get to the point where they need some painting done, then we gals come in and paint. And we dress the set, you know, frou-frous and furniture and curtains and things like that.
The costumes kind of go in with that whole theme. We have like, the show is kind of based on pastel colors.
I'm prop master, so it's always fun. You always feel it's a celebration when you find something that's hard to find and you get it, or it's something that's hard to make and you get it done. And I think the more real you can make the props, even if they're not up close to the audience, I think that helps the actors if they're as real as possible.
We open on the 14th of June. It runs 2 weekends, the 2 weekends before Sturgis Falls weekend. And if people want tickets, they just need to call Applaud.
I think the greatest thing about the community theater is that it's open to everyone, all ages, and it's just a great thing to be a part of. Just being a part of the ensemble or the town folk is just as fun as being on stage in one of the leading roles. And so I was happy to take any role that was offered, and I think everybody in the show feels the same way. It's a real small family atmosphere that I think is very welcoming.
It's just fun. It really is. I think it'll be very entertaining.
I think my favorite part is that all of the new people that are in the show.
We've got a lot of new people and some old steady ones, and they're all just working together beautifully. It's been a very, very enjoyable experience.
So I would just welcome everybody to come because I know that everybody's going to really enjoy it.
Having previously performed in the show myself, I have no doubt that this will be a ton of fun for everyone. Again, the show will be playing June 14th through 16th and June 21st through 23rd at the Oster Regent Theater. To close out today's program of the Arts Overlook, we sat down with Mary Sue Bartlett to learn more about the upcoming annual event, the College Hill Arts Festival.
The College Hill Art Festival was started in 1979 by Hugh Pedersen, who had a vision of hosting an art festival on the Hill. It is such a community involved and supported event. The College Hill Art Festival is unique in that we partner with the Cedar Falls residents, businesses, individuals, and I think that people really enjoy it. As I said, we're 75 artists, and so we're basically a smaller show. New this year, though, we have changed the dates, and so the festival's being held this year, June 14th and 15th, which is a Friday from 12 to 8, June 14th, and Saturday, June 15th, from 10 in the morning till 5 at night. We're located on the campus of the University of Northern Iowa, corner of College and 23rd Street. There is ample parking. Everything is free to park, to come in and view the artwork. We have lots of activities for children. We have wonderful performing arts on stage, so people can come at no cost and just walk around, see some wonderful art, hopefully purchase some wonderful art, and also just enjoy the afternoon and the music.
That's all we have for you on this edition of the Arts Overlook. I'm Ian Goldsmith. Until next time, thanks for watching.